Hello again, Chief Master Bowden here with part two of the No Change. I'm sure you recall in part one, I did not pass my test for first degree black belt. I had to do that test twice. And in 1980, I earned my first degree black belt. Well, you go through this and you get pretty excited about saying, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. So about a year later, I did become a second degree. And then a year after that, 2 years after that, I became a third degree. I do have a bit of a recollection of that testing because it happened in Las Vegas at the Showboat Arena, which I don't think exists anymore. And they had a concrete floor, and I was doing a jump sidekick over an obstacle, and I ran and missed a break and landed flat on the concrete. It hurt like I don't know what. The proudest thing I came out of that testing with was I said I'm changing the brake, and I changed the brake, and I wasn't really sure if it was going to be acceptable, but I said I didn't care. I couldn't run and jump like that again. I was in so much pain. I changed the brake and I passed the test. That was a big deal. I became a third degree black belt. I had to wait 3 years. Now we're getting up to around 1987, and it's time to test for fourth degree. And of course, this is the second biggest landmark in black belt advancement, fourth degree black belt. So this is occurring in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it's around June. It's the World Championship, the big event of the entire year. And it happened to be one of those nights where, shall we say, things just didn't go right at all. Somehow or other, the schedule of the number of people testing got out of control, and there was this huge number of people testing. And we ended up, they rolled in these massive carts with boards, and we were told to get up and run over there and pick up the number of boards we had. And let me tell you, if you didn't pick up the boards that were right on top and somebody saw you picking through the boards, so you just went over there, grabbed your boards, and sat down. And of course, I picked up the 6 hardest boards that were in that stack. And, I was thinking about my no change at first degree, and I'm thinking, boy, I'm really going to prepare for this. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to become a fourth degree black belt. Well, so I pick up my boards. We all go back. We're divided up into groups, and I sat on the floor. I really don't know how long, but in my mind right now, it was a half hour or a full hour because there was so many people breaking, and they miscalculated how they were going to do all of this and get enough stations so that people could break and move through it quicker. It went on for hours and hours. So I sat there on the floor with my 6 boards, and I'm touching them and kind of shuffling them, and I realized that, yes, I have picked the 6 hardest boards out of 400. They were right there on the top, and those were mine to pick. So I'll never forget, I had done my form in preparation for this testing 1,000 times. I had kept track of it. And over the 3 years, I had done my form 1,000 times. And I was good. I actually went to a tournament and got in a 3-way tie for first place at 999. And I took first place in the runoff with this same form that I was using to test for fourth degree black belt. So I felt good about my form. Well, the sparring didn't go quite so well because I was wearing contacts for the first time. And one of my buddies kicked me in the eye, and the contact came out. And of course, we're crawling around on the floor trying to find the contact. So now, not only do I have a sore eye, but I cannot see either. And I have the 6 hardest boards on the planet. So don't ask me how I went through this process and figured out how to come up with this strategy. But I looked at the 6 boards and I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the 2 hardest ones, and put them together, and I'm going to do my elbow strike with those 2. And then I had a jump reverse sidekick and something else. I can't remember. So I'm not sure how that logic worked, but here's a lesson for you to take from this one. If you have two hard boards and you have the opportunity to switch them around, you take the hardest boards and you pair each hard board up with an easier board. You don't put the two hard boards together. But I said, well, I got this really incredible elbow strike. Who can't break two hard boards with an elbow strike? So that's what I'll do. Well, I went to hit the thing, thud. Oh, boy. I remembered all the pain when I landed on the floor at the showboat on the concrete. It hurt like I don't know what. It took me 3 attempts to break those two boards. And on the 3rd attempt, I was completely gassed out from the pain, and I don't think I finished the rest of the boards. So the spine didn't go very well with the contact coming out, and I'm sitting on the floor. It was just an awful experience that took like 3 hours, and of course, I received a no change. So, wow, couldn't believe that happened. Boy, disappointed again, big time. Now, that was in June. The good thing is that in August, there was the instructor camp, and I went to camp and tested and got my 4th degree black belt. Now, I'll never forget, at the time, you had to test for 4th degree, you had to go to the World Championships. And that only happened once a year. This is 1987. And so when I no changed, it was like I'm waiting an entire year to test again. So after the testing, we're at headquarters, and at the time, Eternal Grandmaster had a huge party of bulgogi and rice, and just a massive party in the parking lot and in the woods behind the national headquarters. And I'm walking around eating and sulking. And he comes up to me and he says, I want you to test at instructor camp. I want you to retest at instructor camp. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can do that. Yes, sir. I'll be there. And that was a huge deal because as far as I knew, the rule was to test for 4th degree, you test at World Championships. And that's it. And that was the beginning of people doing retests at other events. So that's part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 because it gets really, really good. I'm Chief Master Bavin. Train hard so you don't receive a no change. Peace.